So it looks like we might be getting Conor McGregor versus the one and only Jorge Gamebred Masvidal at the White House. Potentially, right? To be fair, I've just got off a plane from Georgia. I had a quick shower. Now I'm back in the hot seat. I Googled mixed martial arts, and whose name do I see pop up? Jorge Masvidal. Of course, the original, the inaugural BMF, the owner of the fastest knockout in UFC history. And when you Google MMA and you press news, all that comes up is stories about Jorge Masvidal potentially fighting. He's got big news. He's going to release it soon. And a lot of people speculated that it could be against Conor McGregor going down at the White House. And if you ask me, that actually makes a lot of sense. Of course, Dana White came out recently. He was on a podcast. He was asked about the likelihood of Michael Chandler versus Conor McGregor. And Dana shut it down. He said, no, listen, that was 2 years ago. It's passed by.
I know there's like all the talk of Michael Chandler and Conor. Do you see like that as like a realistic thing happening?
No, I mean, that was a couple years ago.
Yeah, so that's not nothing you'd entertain for the White House.
No.
Poor old Michael Chandler sat on the sidelines like a good little boy, like McGregor called him, said, you'll do as you're told.
You want to do 185, I'll do 185.
You'll do what you're told.
And he did. He sat around and he waited and some more. Didn't get it. Fought Paddy Pimblett in the meantime. Got whooped off Paddy Pimblett, which is why next weekend we have the first UFC event on Paramount Plus, and it is Paddy Pimblett versus Justin Gaethje for the interim title. I'll be there in Vegas for that, and there's a lot of content coming your way about that. But anyway, so Michael Chandler is out of the equation. Who's it gonna be? Because I do believe that Conor McGregor will be on the White House card, okay? As we know, McGregor has been at the White House himself recently. Last year, showed up a couple of times. He was on Fox Sports or Fox News talking about it, saying, it's a done deal. I will be fighting at the White House.
Is this a done deal? You're in?
Done
You made
deal,
a deal?
signed, delivered. It ain't a negotiation.
Wow.
It's a done deal, signed, delivered. McGregor will compete in the White House.
And as we know, Conor McGregor, who recently got married, who's kind of had a transformation, he went down to Peru or somewhere and he did ayahuasca and he went on a spiritual journey. He's a changed man. He's born again.
And I'm saved. I am healed.
Hey, fair play to the guy. Fair play to the guy. And I tell you what, when you do see clips of him online, he does look healthier. He does look less puffy. And you do see clips of him out there training. So the man's getting ready for something. And a lot of people, because obviously I have a podcast and we'll be back on Monday, by the way, me and Felder, so tune in for that. A lot of people are like, yeah, McGregor's done. Listen, a lot can change. The man's still only, I think he's 37 years old, okay? So he's not like he's that old yet. Yeah, he's at the tail end of his career. Even though, like Mike Tyson, he said he wants to do this for the rest of his life. He's at the tail end of his career. But 3 years, 4 years away, right? A lot can change if you lock in, if you get disciplined, if you get rid of all the bad habits, if you abandon all the yes men, if you get rid of all the distractions and you get in the gym. It's not unthinkable to think that Conor McGregor could get just somewhere near the form that he had when he made his rise through the UFC. Remember 2016, that performance against Eddie Alvarez, the one-punch knockout over Jose Aldo, right? The rise through the UFC. It was like nothing the sport had ever seen before. And then, of course, combined with the brashness and the trash talk and all the rest of it, and the swagger and the confidence that he had, and the humor and the one-liners, you put it all together, the man became the biggest star that the sport's ever seen. 4 years away, I think it is, or 5 years, whatever it is, it's been a long time, and he broke his leg, but he's back training, he's back in the gym. And I tell you what, right, me and McGregor, we've gone head-to-head, we've talked a bit of shit over the years, but you can't deny the talent the man had. And if he locks in and he's disciplined, you can get almost back to that, if not totally back to that. And Jorge Masvidal is out here, he's teasing something big coming up soon.
Because we've seen on the internet, you versus McGregor.
You never know, right? Shit, give them what they want, not what they expect. I could say some big news. And I can't deny or confirm what you just said.
Even Chael Sonnen was talking about it. And as I said, when you look at Jorge Masvidal and the career that he's had, and then you remember, Jorge Masvidal has been a massive supporter of Donald Trump. I think he's spoken publicly at rallies for Donald Trump as well. So he's certainly in the good graces of the Trump family, right? And they're the kind of people that they're going to want at the White House. Conor McGregor versus Jorge Masvidal. That'll be a sensational matchup. Michael Chandler, of course, losing to Paddy Pimblett the way that he did. And then, of course, when you look at the majority of fights that he's lost, okay, it doesn't really put him in too good of a standing, okay? And, of course, he's 155. Yeah, he'd come up to 170 to fight McGregor, but he's not a natural 170. And Jorge Masvidal has fought at 155, but also finished his career at 170. He did fight for the belt. He did have the fastest knockout in history. He absolutely destroyed Nate Diaz when he became the first BMF. I mean, if you go back to 2019, that was the coming out party for Jorge Masvidal. Remember, shocked the world. Knocked out Darren Till at the O2 Arena. Knocked out Ben Askren in what was it? 5 seconds, and then put a beat down on Nate Diaz. Became the BMF, as I said. Now, granted, 2019, that's a long time ago. That's 7 years ago, which is crazy. And yeah, sure, since then, the man has lost 4 fights in a row. But who did he lose to? He lost a title fight on short notice. Then he lost in a rematch again to Kamaru Usman. This time he got knocked out cold. He lost to Colby Covington, who was like, floating around, one of the top contenders forever. He was there fighting Kamaru Usman for the belt on a couple of occasions. And I think just recently, Colby Covington finally is out of the rankings. I know Dana was asked about that, and he said, yeah, it didn't really make sense.
How does a guy like that stay in the top 15 for years after not fighting?
It's a great point.
In fact, if I just look at the MMA rankings right now, let me just see. You got to think that Colby Covington is no longer ranked, and I'm not trying to talk shit about him, but the guy hasn't fought forever, and he certainly hasn't won forever. But no, yeah, there he is. Number 15 is Daniel Rodriguez. Number 14, Colby Covington. Anyway, so whatever. I'm going off on a tangent here. Let's get back to Masvidal. So Masvidal's coming back, right? He's teasing something big. He's talking to a lot of people. He's messaged me with his manager a couple of weeks ago about coming on the podcast. Hopefully he's going to come on this week. If not this week, he's going to come on soon. We were talking about it recently because he wants to announce something. Now, obviously, there's a logical matchup in Leon Edwards because remember the 3-piece and a soda interview after he knocked out Darren Till backstage, him and Leon Edwards got into it.
You're not going to get a hit off me, so I had to give him the 3-piece with the soda and then just glide out of there.
Leon was the former champ, came back again and got beaten by Carlos Prates, sadly. So Leon's looking for a big fight, and certainly there's a backstory there. But Conor McGregor versus Jorge Masvidal, that makes all the sense in the world because for McGregor coming back, he's the big star. They want him to win. Simple as that. They do. The sport of mixed martial arts is a better place with stars like Conor McGregor involved. Of course, the White House, being the magnitude of the event that it is, it sells itself. It doesn't need Conor McGregor. It doesn't need John Jones or Alex Pereira or anything like that. But because it is the White House, they want to put on a spectacular event. The whole world pretty much is going to tune in to that event. We could be talking something like 2 billion people around the world watching it live. It'll be one of the most watched sporting occasions that the world has ever seen, okay? So, of course, the UFC want to put on entertaining fighters. And I tell you what, Masvidal is entertaining. Conor McGregor is entertaining. The two of them are going to stand there and go toe-to-toe. They're going to bang it out. Who wins? I don't know. Masvidal lost 4 in a row. No shame in that. We all get older. We all slow down. We all start to lose fights. And Conor McGregor's been on a losing streak. But he's come back. He's reborn. What we do know, he's got power in his left hand. And we know Masvidal's going to stand there. They're going to go toe-to-toe. They're going to dance in the octagon. They're going to put on a show for everyone involved. Donald Trump would love it. The UFC would love it. And you know what? Conor McGregor versus Jorge Masvidal, the first ever BMF, the owner of the fastest knockout in the history of the sport, and one of the, not only because he was the title of the BMF, he is a real-life BMF. Remember, he was fighting in the backyard brawls with Kimbo Slice back in the day. I nearly got into a fight with him when I fought at Madison Square Garden because the guy is cut from that cloth. Go away, you punk bitch. Look at you. You're a fucking punk. You are. He is that type of guy. He's the real-life embodiment of a bad mother, which is why it made sense that he was the first ever BMF. And I'll tell you what, if Conor McGregor isn't going to fight Michael Chandler because they have moved on, and I understand that, I think Jorge Masvidal is a very good next option. But what do you think about that? Let me know in the comment section, because when I'm looking at the rankings, it isn't going to be someone like Islam Makhachev or Jack Della Maddalena. It certainly isn't going to be Shavkat or Ian Machado or Gary. Michael Morales, Bilal Muhammad, Carlos Prates. I don't think any of those. It'd be a throwback. It'd be a nostalgic fight that the fans wish they got back in the day. And Masvidal versus McGregor, that ticks all the boxes. So what do you think? Is that the fight we see at the White House? Is that the guy that gets his hands on McGregor when he makes his long-awaited return? Anyway, I just got back from Tbilisi, Georgia. 28 hours on a flight. Unbelievable country. Thank you to everyone in Tbilisi that took care of me. Big shout out to Nika, all the people at the Stamba Hotel. That hotel is incredible. Also the Telegraph Hotel. Thank you very much. The people, the food was unbelievable. The weather was pretty good as well. Georgia, thank you very much. I went to Marab's birthday party. That was a lot of fun as well, and got to really dive into the Georgian culture. We went to Marab's party. They had a Toastmaster that made a toast like every 30 seconds. There was traditional dancing and singing and all kinds of food. There was all the traditional foods that they had. The kinkali, the cacciapori, all other kinds of shit. I had a great time. But anyway, regardless, thanks for watching. Subscribe and ring the bell. Got some interviews with the fights from UFC 324 coming your way this week. But what do you think? Masvidal versus McGregor at the White House. Is that the fight we're going to see? Take care.